lived for art. I lived for love. Here Puccini pleads to God in a moment of despair and abandonment, wondering what she could have done wrong to deserve this abuse at the hands of Scarpia. How Catholic. From the first time I heard the classical operatic voice, it pierced my soul. I never questioned its purpose or its meaning. As the character Edward Lewis in Pretty Woman muses, played by man-made Richard Gere, people's reaction to opera the first time they see it is very dramatic. They either love it or they hate it. If they love it, they will always love it. If not, they may try to appreciate it, but it may not become a part of their soul. I'm a self-avowed drag queen and a diva. And yet it became immediately clear that not everyone got the vernacular of opera. Some consider it too boring, too slow, hard to understand, expensive, overly dramatic. Any of you? Stay with me. Anybody on my side?
Yeah!
At 13 years old, I was accepted into the Cincinnati Boy Choir. This was my portal into the world of the classical voice, but some of the other boys in the choir would make fun of my vocal tone and more prominent vibrato. Soprano than the traditional pure boy soprano in this Hebrew Psalm 23 from Leonard Bernstein's Chichester Psalms. That's how I sounded. That's one of the things that was most beautiful to me about the soprano recordings that I loved. That's how I came to express myself. This vocal state was explored in the Baroque novel by Anne Rice called A Cry to Heaven. In it, Ernestino states, "I've never heard a voice like yours. God has touched you. Sing while you can, because it won't be long before those high notes abandon you." And yet, it wasn't such a short time for me. As my voice changed, those high notes remained. I remember a friend of my sister's at the time would make fun of me, exclaiming, "He sounds like a 60-year-old trapped in a teenager's body." Ouch! That hurt. To step into this power was palpable for me. Around this time, I would hijack friends in my 1980 blue Chevy Impala, which they coined the Impablo, based on one of my only truly kind nicknames, Pablo, and subject them to my dramatic coloratura. El raggio lusinghier, dispeme di piacer, al fin per me brillo. I'd spend countless hours in the downtown Cincinnati Library record department. I'd check out the maximum amount of LPs allowed, and I'd hole up at home and make countless operatic mixtapes, which I still have. Who else made mixtapes in the 80s?
No.
Okay. In the novel by Wayne Kostabaum called The Queen's Throat, he offers up some apt purple prose. The singer's voice sets up vibrations and resonances in the listener's inner body, which is illuminated, opened up, exposed. Their voice enters us and the self's porous membrane, discrediting the notion that our bodies are separate, boundary packages, and destroying the division between their body and ours. I mean, how connected, how erotic. Do you feel me? Yes. Well, it's no surprise that my gay identity also connected me to this art form, given its tragic tone. With the AIDS crisis in the 80s and beyond, that only furthered our narrative, and yet that was only part of our narrative, of course, because there's so much hope there as well. But although sad, there's also another side of that, which is the intoxication. Stories like Romeo and Juliet, Tristan und Isolde. A therapist of mine at the time even suggests that I lean into the operatic milieu less, in favor of perhaps more realistic straight plays. I understood his intention at the time, but this dramatic part was only one part of me, and I'd like to think with time more integrated, so I can live for art, live for love, and meditate the next morning. Namaste. I leave you with Delilah's sensuous aria. My heart opens itself to your voice. I hope that if you don't love opera, or even like it, that for this moment it can speak to you in some way. Thus endeth my public service announcement.
Pörn is a great drag queen, but it's kind of a crime to make her lip sync, don't you think?
Yeah!